Hey everyone, this is Mitch. Hope you all have had a fantastic Friday. Hope you all have had a great work week as we're getting into the weekend. It is going to be a very, very active weather weekend as it looks like we're going to have a landfalling hurricane in southern New England. Right now, we have a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm, which is Henri. By the time some of you all watch this, I'm sure we'll be through some updates and we'll likely have a hurricane at this point. So it'll be Hurricane Henri. But right now, it's a tropical storm. So this is going to be a very impactful storm, guys. And, there's been some, I wouldn't say major or significant. Significant would actually be the better word. There's been some significant shifts today, significant as in impactful shifts today in model guidance that is really pulling this storm a little bit more west now, which is going to affect a lot more people and obviously increases the chance that this actually will make a landfall as a landfalling tropical cyclone. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down model guidance, the latest model guidance, which includes the latest GFS runs, some ensembles, and we're really going to start diving a little bit deeper into the impacts. We're within 36 hours of this really starting to impact areas. So we're going to dive deep into all of that. I definitely invite y'all to try to watch the video as long as you can because you'll be able to take in exactly what is going on and what's occurring, what's driving this unusual scenario where Henri is taking this path that's leading it straight to southern New England, which is not a common scenario at all. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you like it. I really appreciate that. It helps the video get out there. And thank y'all for the amazing support. I try to do videos daily. Even when the weather is not very active, I try to do it. So thank y'all for the amazing support. Y'all give me an audience to talk about what I love, which is the weather. So thank y'all. So let's get going here. You got Henri. Henri is trying to do a little bit better, which I feel like it struggled today, and taking better advantage of a favorable situation it's in right now. Shear is beginning to drop off. It's beginning to make that north turn, and you have a kind of a good area of blow up and convection right now. Check out the cirrus clouds fanning out from the storm. It lets me know that it's still dealing with a little bit of shear. You can actually see the low-level circulation popping out right here. You look at a more broader view here. It filled a load for me. You have Grace right here, which is spinning like crazy. It's starting to look like a buzzsaw hurricane. What's going on with Grace, and we're not going to talk about Grace much, is it's going under rapid intensification due mainly with the fact that there's no shear, there's no dry air, and it's in the warmest waters in the entire world. Water temperatures are probably in the upper 80s in this area. So it's going to slam Mexico as a pretty strong hurricane, probably a Category 2 hurricane. So we look at the latest recon mission. I'm going to try to load this here and see to get the updated information. Here we go. So they have flown in from the south, and you can obviously see there's a low-level circulation. The low-level circulation is trying to find itself over the main area of convection, which is centered a little bit more south in the storm. But it hasn't found significant winds. But it still hasn't probably fallen to the most intense part of the storm, which is probably in this area right here. But it shows that there's a defined low-level circulation. It's probably a little bit more north of the most intense convection, which probably tells us that it's still not completely vertically stacked. It's probably in the process of doing that, which means you got the mid-level circulation over the low-level circulation, which means you have a big-time strengthening storm. But that's going to occur. You look at the latest update from the Hurricane Center. This is 5 p.m. By the time some of you watch this, it'll be the 8 p.m. or 11 p.m. update. Hurricane warnings are now in effect for almost the entire Long Island area. I've had a lot of people comment from the Long Island area. First off, thank y'all for watching my content. It's much appreciated. But you guys are really looking like you're going to be under the gun. As in 2 days ago, it was really just looking like a southeast Massachusetts area. You guys are still under definitely a hurricane watch in those areas. But this thing, there's even New York City is now under a tropical storm warning or watch right now. I think different parts of the city is under different things. But at the same time, this is really starting to look like it is going to hit as a hurricane and potentially make a landfall in Long Island as a hurricane. So let's look at the latest data here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to run through the GFS and we're going to just talk about some things here. So bear with me here. So Saturday morning, this storm is beginning to strengthen, but I think it really begins to strengthen Saturday afternoon. So around this time tomorrow, I really think the storm's going to be strengthening here. And moving forward here, we have probably a Category 1 hurricane, borderline Category 2 if we're taking the GFS as if it's actually going to happen. This is moving in, and it's moving almost due north here. It's getting pulled by an upper level trough, and it's actually yanking on this storm from the northwest, and it's yanking it from the northwest, and it's yanking it in the direction to the northwest into the northeast and southern New England. The latest GFS is actually speeding the storm up, which is not a good thing, because if it was slowing it down, it would have a chance right into here to sit over some cooler waters to weaken the storm pretty quickly in a short amount of time, which would help limit the winds, which would make it have a little bit less intense winds. But latest guidance here really has this thing moving in a little bit quicker. So, which means maybe if it continues to trend quicker, it's going to be a more intense hurricane, which means that it'll make impacts closer to Sunday morning as opposed to Sunday afternoon. So we're watching that trend too, which is still something we're trying to work through the motions and trying to figure out what's going to happen. This makes landfall as a 987, 980 to 985 storm in the GFS. At 987, this would already be making landfall, so I imagine to be a little bit lower in this scenario. But this will be a Category 1 hurricane, straight up. Category 1 hurricane making landfall. You get a little bit closer here, 986 storm, as it's already passed, the center of circulation is already passed over Long Island. And this is shift west. I'm going to go to the run prior to this, and okay, it's not going to work for me. But if I go to the run prior to this, if I can get a load here, here we go. So we go to the run prior to this. You see how it ticks a little bit more east? I go to the run prior to that. It's a little bit more east. I go to the run prior to that. It's even more east. So if I go to the present run, watch as I go through 3 or 4 different runs here. Bang, bang, bang. It ticks west, which is becoming more of an impactful scenario for Long Island, Connecticut, and even getting close to New York City at this point. So you look at this right here. This is the chances of tropical storm force winds. This is getting well into southern New England, Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Obviously, the more intense winds are probably, we don't know for sure, but are probably going to be where the onshore flow is going. So it's going to probably be maybe on the eastern sides of the circulation. But at the same time, we don't know where the most intense part of the storm is, where the most intense eye wall is going to be. But as you can tell, there is now at this point a pretty significant chance, and here's the probabilities compared to what the graph that you're seeing, a pretty significant chance of tropical storm warnings for the entire southern New England area. I want to show you the potential wind gust off the European model. As we're going forward, we're getting into Saturday afternoon, we're getting into overnight Saturday into Sunday, and check out this area. This area kind of in these shades of dark red, getting into white. The areas in the white, that is winds over 80 miles per hour, potentially maximum gust from the GFS, starting to move onshore as early as Sunday morning on Long Island. So if you're on Long Island, especially central to eastern areas of Long Island, who knows, this could shift more west. Y'all are going to get hit hard, very hard, by 60, 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts. It's not going to be, I don't think that's going to be consistent winds, but you're going to have these wind gusts that are going to be coming in waves like that, especially whoever is in the eye wall. The eye wall is basically all the action around the eye. So this is going to be a nasty situation. I think the storm weakens very quickly, but it's still going to bring very gusty winds into Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, especially if it continues to get pulled into New York. One thing I want to show you right here is the potential storm surge. Most of the storm surge is going to be worse where you have an onshore flow, which the circulation of this hurricane will move like this. That's how hurricanes spin. So basically the onshore flow, whoever has the most intense onshore flow, which basically is the east side of the circulation, is going to have the onshore flow, which means it's going to be pushing waters, which will be the most intense storm surge right in the Rhode Island area, the southeastern Massachusetts area. And that's where it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 feet of surge. I don't know this terrain very well, but I think that's probably pretty significant even for this area. So looking forward here, you look at the latest GFS ensembles, and it pretty much has consolidated to pretty much almost 100% of these members making impact in southern New England. I can't stress this enough. This is likely going to happen. It's a likely scenario at this point. Look at the latest HWRF model, and we'll run through this really quick here. This is the one from 12Z, so the latest one will probably come out in an hour. But it strengthens the storm as you get into tomorrow morning to a 990, a sub 990 storm, which is be a Category 1 hurricane at this point. Really strengthens it, and I think this model, which can be very aggressive, has a pretty realistic scenario as far as strength. Really deepens the storm into pretty much a pretty strong Category 1 hurricane, and then it makes impact as a Category 1 hurricane. And check out this, this does a good job of showing where maybe the most intense weather could be, and it's showing on the western edge of the in the northwestern edge of the center of circulation. So I think regardless, Long Island, Connecticut, y'all are going to get hit by an intense eye wall, I think, and where that could bring anywhere from 70 to 80 to 90 mile per hour wind gusts. That is really my concern for Long Island, because basically, if the center even goes here, then maybe the eye wall shifts closer to New York City. But the eye wall is what I worry about here. That's going to whoever gets hit by that, and we won't know that until the storm gets the storm gets visual. We can visually see it on radar scope. Who's going to get slammed by the eye wall? That'll be where the most intense action is. You look at the potential wind speeds from the HWRF model, and it shows the same scenario. This is just straight winds. This isn't wind gusts. So this brings 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts in this area of orange. That's pushing closer to over 50 mile per hour sustained wind gusts from this storm. So this isn't, maximum wind gust for say. This is consistent wind speed. So, make sure y'all consider that when you see this. So this is winds that are constantly going, so sustained. So you look at the latest Euro here. And the latest Euro is very similar. Takes the track north, gets into Saturday morning. It's a strengthening storm. It really begins to strengthen just off the coast of New Jersey and the mid-Atlantic, and strengthens all the way into landfall just about. It doesn't really even show a weakening scenario. It has this make an impact as a Category 1 hurricane on Long Island. So all the model guidance is really liking Long Island at this point. So anybody watching this in this area, take this serious, because it's looking likely this is going to be a Long Island impact. And I'll tell you what, the potential wind gusts off the Euro are very similar to GFS. Has this thing moving in this area you see with the whites and the kind of the brown tinted whites, whatever this color right here is. That is 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts moving into Long Island as early as Sunday morning. This is going to cause a lot of damage. I really think it is. And here you go. I want to briefly go over the steering currents on what's driving this really quick. What's going on is you have an upper level trough, and you have a weakening ridge. It's already kind of weakened, and that's why it's beginning to shift north. So ridge of high pressures began to weaken. The steering currents have begun to shift, and it's being influenced by this digging of this trough here. And what happens here is the wind directions shift out from the south, move this storm north. It's moving due north, and then it gets almost yanked in from the opposite end of this flow here, from this digging trough. And basically the flow around this dig right here is coming from this way, then it's kind of lapping around this, and then it's moving this way, which is pulling the storm this way, which is pulling the storm northwest, and it actually pulls and tugs at the storm, which yanks it a little bit northwest into Long Island. So that is the scenario. The steering currents is basically getting tugged in by kind of an upper level trough, if you will. And what's helping this also is a ridge of high pressure right up here, which you can really tell on here and moving forward here. A ridge of high pressure just happens to be sliding down from eastern Canada, and it bogs down the storm here and almost traps it temporarily before that ridge of high pressure moves in. But what it looks like now, the ridge of high pressure is going to be so intense right here that it's actually not even going to go out to sea anymore. It's just flat out going to move inland and dissipate. And eventually, when it kind of weakens, whatever's left of it will go out to sea right here. So it's very interesting. One thing I do want to mention is the sea surface temperatures right before landfall really spike. The Gulf Stream is very, very strong up here. The water's just as warm right here as it is down here in the Bahamas. That is, it's kind of mind-blowing in a way, but that's the case. There's this area of very warm water right here that I think will help to intensify Henri right before it hit some cooler water, which is in the 70s. There's some water temperatures well into the 80s, right just south of southern areas of New England. And this will intensify the storm likely, and then it'll begin to weaken a little bit, I really think, right as it gets into warm water, especially if it slows down. But we are trending to more of a faster scenario, so we need to watch that. Hurricane watch is up for this entire area. I tried to get the New York City, but it seems like they always lag with their latest update and their discussion. They don't really have a good discussion, but there are storm surge warnings all up in this area. This is going to be a significant weather event, guys. So I have another video in the morning with an update. Thank y'all for tagging along in this video. Y'all stay safe, hunker down. Areas like Block Island, you're going to get hit hard. Long Island, you're going to get hit hard. And this is going to be an intense storm and a historic storm. So take this serious and y'all prepare now. Y'all have a blessed evening. Have a great night. And thank y'all for tuning in.